we are just hoping that the political elite, which is the cause of this problem. Yes, there are criminal elites, they are there. There are business elites, they are there. They are making their money in spite. In fact, there are business elites who will never exchange living elsewhere with living in Nigeria. Because as we speak, they make so much profit from this country, and you begin to wonder, oh, in this same economy where there's no electricity, where there are no jobs, people make money. No, all you need to do is to understand how the country works. Once you understand that, you will survive it.
Now, we are talking of the model of development. Yes, it is true that it is the people that is actually the most powerful. They are more powerful than their government, but if they organize themselves. And I think those ruling Nigeria know this. That is why they are very, very good in dividing the people in their policy of divide and rule. Of course, this is what was also used by the colonialists, no? And those who came to represent them, took over from them, continue to refine that idea continuously. But I'm trying to see, because we are looking at development and history, is that something that we can go back to in our history as a pre-colonial model of development that have worked? It can be within the Yoruba people, the Hausa, any part of Nigeria that we can lay hand on. This has worked, because people must find a solution to their problem. Help me.
Yeah, well, I will recommend that people should go and study the South Korean model. They call it the Simol Undong. Simol Undong went back into society and began to study how the people, leveraging on their culture, on their values, on traditions, can begin to rebuild society from the villages, from the local level. So if you study Simol Undong, you will discover that it is actually not too different from the model we used in the pre-colonial period. It's all about the people, it's about the culture, it's about the values of society. Unlike now, where you hide under capitalism to make money and display your ill-gotten wealth, traditional society will question where you got your wealth from. And if they question you and you cannot find a logical answer for the display of that wealth, you are ostracized. You know, so there were sanctions in society, you know, based on the values of society. So what South Korea has done with Simol Undong is actually what we used to have in the past in our own society, which we must go back to study. What we need to do now is just to study how South Korea articulated it and turned it into a model of development. We have not done our own. We have not studied what we have lost, what we can regain, what we can rebuild to develop a development paradigm, which we also give a name to. And it's possible. In Western Nigeria now, you have the Dawn Commission, Development Agenda for Western Nigeria. I partner with them as one of their advisors, and they have done a lot. But we are going to come to that situation in which we will also go back into society, develop this model that we are talking about, and sell it gradually. It's going to take some time and it's going to be resisted. But for us to make quick and adequate progress, sustainable progress, because that's important, you have to be able to sustain it. We have to look at society all over again, look at their past, look at their future, look at those structures that got society to where it is now. look at what we have to remove, look at what we have to replace them, then educate people, because Simon Long also went on with education. You know, it's going to be a gradual process, but the day we decide that we have had enough of this rat race, that is the day we are going to start to create that development approach you are talking about. But right now, everybody wants to go to America, everybody wants to go to Europe, everybody wants to be rich, not tomorrow, but like yesterday. So that rat race must first of all stop. And how do we stop the rat race? Is by developing education that talks to people. The education that we have now doesn't talk to anybody. It's just a means to acquire a certificate, which is really very unfortunate. It doesn't talk to anybody. You know, it's not our education. We don't own it. So until we begin to look at society all over again to say, look, let us sit down. So it's not every time that we must convene a constitutional meeting or political meeting. Let us also constitute meetings that will try to understand society and then help create new building blocks from our understanding of the past, of the present, and of the future. That is critical to human progress in this part of it.
I can tell you from, based on my study, based on the people that I've interviewed, because I continuously do this, a lot of Nigerians are getting fed up of this rat race, you call it. And when you see a lot of people getting fed up of things like this, it means that it's a time for change. But the change is going to happen maybe in different phases and in different level. Now, I told you that I have another version of this podcast in my language, which is about Esan people, no? Try to look at Esan culture, our origin, what we do, what we like, what we don't like, what we forbid, and what are the core value of us as a people. One of the things I see among the Esan people is that there is natural entrepreneurship. Let me take Uromi, for example, because I'm from Uromi. In Uromi, I've interviewed some people there. Of course, I know this because that is where I grew up before I came to Europe. When you are a young adult, of course, when you are growing up, you follow your father to your farm because most Uromi people, most Eastern people are farmers. Now, when you get to a certain stage that maybe you are not going to school, you must be learning work. There is nothing in between. You are either going to school or learning work. What that means is that it is going to be very difficult now to find a lot of armed robbers on the streets. But that has been broken now. And in Uromi, like in many other parts of Nigeria, people are scared because the culture has been broken. The value system has been broken. And this brings me to what you were saying before, referring to the Korean studies of trying to understand their society. Because that really is what we must do. Because even at a global level, a lot of people are disoriented. Because this false idea of capitalism is not solving the problem. People just don't need to only eat to work. We need to find more value for our existence. If this is the case, say maybe Nigerians are looking for the solution. Do we need to expect the government to do this study? Or is it a job for individual Nigeria? Okay, not every Nigeria again, but people who are enlightened to go ahead and take up this job as their responsibility. Let me understand that.
Well, the government is part of our problem. We have had more than enough wrong people in government. And why good people are shying away from government is or getting involved in politics is because, you know, those who ended up in government over time have always been people whose values are in sharp contrast with the majority of the people. Yeah, they tell you they go into government to represent the people, but what we have seen so far is that it's also a competition of my thief is better than your thief, which the more money you steal on behalf of your people, the more the chieftaincy titles they will confer on you. So it's people with wrong values who are now populating government, and so they no longer serve as good examples to generations of Nigerians.